This part mainly concerned with the use of language with respect to the language development. Okay, first we'll see what is subject-verb agreement. So subject-verb agreement means the subject and verb in a sentence must agree in number. That means if the subject is singular, the verb should also be singular. Or if the subject is plural, the verb should also be plural. But you cannot have a singular subject with a plural verb or vice versa. So the subject is singular, the verb must be singular too. Example, she writes every day. Here the subject and the verb is singular. So if the subject is plural, the verb must also be plural. And example for that is they write every day. Here for the subject and the verb is plural. Now there are certain rules that help us to make subject and verb agree. So when the subject of a sentence is composed of two or more nouns or pronouns connected by and, then use a plural verb. Example, she and her friends are at the shopping mall. Here the subject, there are two subjects. One is she and the other one is her friends. So, and the verb is are at the shopping mall. So, if, if the subject of a sentence is composed of two or more nouns, normally we use a plural verb. So when two or more singular nouns or pronouns are connected by or nor, then we use a singular verb. Example, the book or the pencil is in the drawer. Here the subject, the book or the pencil, since it's connected by these, the nouns are connected by or, you use a singular verb. So is used in this example. In the first example, we have we had two subjects or two nouns, she and her friend. So we use a plural verb are there. So when a compound subject contains both a singular and a plural noun or a pronoun joined by or and or, the verb should agree with the part of the subject that is nearer to the verb. So example, the girl or his friends run every day. Here the part which is nearer to the verb run is his friends. So whatever that is nearer to the verb is taken, and if it is singular, the verb used is singular. If it is plural, the verb used is plural. And there are other rules also. Another one is doesn't. Is normally a short form or a contraction of does not, and this should be used only with a singular subject. Don't is a contraction of do not, and it should be used only with a plural subject. So for a singular subject, you use doesn't, and if it is a plural, we use don't. So the exception to this rule appears in the case of a first person and second person pronouns I and you. So with these pronouns, the contraction down should be shouldn't would be used. So he doesn't like it. Here he is singular, so doesn't is used there. They don't like it. So they is actually plural. So we use don't there. Then so then do not be misled by a phrase that comes between the subject and the verb. The verb agrees with the subject, not with the noun or pronoun in the phrase. So if we take an example, one of the containers is open. Here we are taking the subject as one. One is the subject here. So the verb is singular is used there. So the word container is between subject and verb. So we should not confuse that with the other part. The book, including all the chapters in the second section, is boring. Here we are taken only the book and the is. The book is singular, so the verb part is also singular. So we are not taking into consideration the part which is between that two parts. So that is one of the rules that you use to help subject and the verb agree. Now another rule is the words each one, either, neither, everyone, everybody, anybody, anyone, nobody, somebody, someone, and no one. These are all singular and require a singular verb. So each of these eggs is tasty. So it's an example of what I've told just before. So each of these eggs is tasty. That's an example of that rule. So nouns such as mathematics, civics, dollars, measles, and news, they require singular verbs. So the news is on at 4. This is an example of this rule. In sentences beginning with there is and there are, the subject follows the verb. Since there is not the subject, the verb agrees with what follows. So there are many questions. There is a question. So what we have taken here is we have taken the verb agrees with what is following the verb. So that is a rule there. So there is there the word there is actually not a subject. So the rule here is the verb we are using depends on what is following the verb. So we go to the next rule. Collective nouns are words that imply more than one person, but that are considered singular and take a singular verb such as group, team, committee, class, and family. These are known as collective nouns. So examples include the team runs during practice. So it is considered the noun team is considered as a singular, and so we use singular verb runs. The committee decides how to proceed. Here also the committee is taken as singular, so we use decides. The verb decides there. The family has a long history. Example, as I told earlier, the family is also taken as a singular verb, a singular noun. The company noun is taken as singular, so the verb is also singular. My family has never been able to agree. As an example, the crew is preparing to dock the ship. The crew actually is a collective noun, so it is considered as one person. So is preparing is that is actually singular verb is used there in that sentence. Now other rules are expressions such as with, together with, including, accompanied by, in addition to, or as well do not change the number of the subject. If the subject is singular, the verb is to. The president, accompanied by his wife, is traveling to India. So here we are uh, using following the rule given above. The president actually the subject, and is the verb used there. All of the books, including yours, are in that box. Here, the subject is all of the books, and verb is used as are. So then we'll see what are numerical adjectives. Numerical adjectives are used to show the precise countable number of position of the subject in the sentence. So normally they show the quantity, order or position of the nouns. Example of numerical adjectives include 3, 7, 5, like that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like these are all numerical adjectives. First, second, third, then 11th, double, triple, 2/5, half, 7th. These are all represents either quantity, order or position. So these are known as numerical adjectives. He bought 3 eggs at the supermarket. Here, 3 is a numerical adjective. There were 7 patients in the doctor's waiting room and Max was the first. Yes, 7 is a numerical adjective as well as first is also a numerical adjective. Now, the 11th batsman has the most stress of making runs in cricket. 11th actually shows a position, so it is also a numerical adjective. Now, we'll see the conditionals. The conditionals tenses are used to speculate about what could happen, that what might have happened, and what we wish would happen. So these are all condition giving certain conditions. So condition sentences are used to speculate about what could happen, what might have happened, and what we wish would happen. So in English, most sentences using the conditional contain the word if or when. So in almost all the conditional sentences normally start with the word if, and in certain cases when is also used. Example, if ice melts, it becomes water. So this is actually uh, a conditional statement. If ice melts, it becomes water. But the first example which I have given, if ice melts, it becomes water, it is actually known as a zero conditional because it is always true. Always when the ice melts, it produces water. So it is a true condition. So it is known as a zero conditional. Then we'll go to the second example. If I go to the movies, I will eat ice cream. So it is actually, this is known as the first conditional. Here, what is said is possible. If I go to the movies, I will eat ice cream. So it's a possible choice. If I go to the movies, I will eat ice cream is one of the possibilities. It may happen or it may not happen. Now, if we see the first example of zero conditional is actually a certainty clause. So, where the condition is always true, like a scientific fact, that is zero conditional. Now, if we go to the first conditional, first conditional is actually a possibility or real possibility is given in First conditional. That is, if I go to the movies, I will eat ice cream a is a real possibility. So here we are talking about the future. We are thinking about a particular condition or situation in the future, and the result of this condition. So there is a real possibility that this condition will happen. So this type of conditions is known as first conditional. Now, if we go to the next example, if I won a lot of money, I will travel the world. So here it is known as, is actually an imaginary situation, and this is known as a second conditional. Here it is an unreal possibility. The second conditional is normally like a first conditional. We are still thinking about the future here. We are thinking about a particular condition in the future and the result of this condition, but there is not a real possibility that this condition will happen. So here, if I won a lot of money, I will travel the world, but it is not a real possibility. Sometimes you may travel or may not travel. Now we go to the next example. If I had known you were going to the cinema, I would have gone too. This is known as a third conditional, and this is actually an impossible condition, and there is no possibility of this happening. In the third conditional cases, we are talking about the past. The first and second conditional, we talked about the future. Now we talk about a condition in the past that did not happen. That is why there is no possibility for this condition. The third condition is also like a dream, but with no possibility of dream coming true. So, uh, if I had known you were going to cinema, I would have gone to, is actually something which has happened before, and so it is actually an impossible condition, and it is known as a third conditional. Now we'll see what is a reported speech. Now there is a type of speech known as direct speech. That is, here whatever a person speaks, it is quoted as such. And reported speech is not like that. Reported speech is a report of one speaker or writer on the words spoken, written, or thought by someone else. So here in the reported speech, somebody reports about the words spoken or written or thought by somebody else. So in reported speech, we need to use the past tense form of the verb. So in reported speech, we will be using the past tense. The reporting clause includes a verb such as normally say, tell, ask, reply, usually in the past simple. That means said, told, asked, replied, like that. And the reported clause include what the original speaker said. So in reporting, we'll be using past tense, and the original speaker is known as the direct speech. So in direct speech, the present tense is used, and the reported speech we use the past tense. So if you see an example of direct speech, John arrived on Saturday. He said, comma, he said. That is a direct speech. So if we write the reported speech of that same thing, he said that John had arrived on Saturday. That is the reported speech of the above direct speech. Now we'll see the active and passive voices. So the active voice describes a sentence where the subject performs the action stated by the verb. And the passive voice, the subject is acted upon by the verb. So in active voice is a sentence where the subject performs the action, while the passive voice is where the subject is acted upon by the verb. So if you take an example, in active voice, the hunter killed, if you say the sentence, the hunter killed the tiger. Here the hunter is the subject. He performs an action on, like, killed the tiger. So if it is written in the passive voice, same sentence will be written like that: the tiger was killed by the hunter. So the subject is acted upon by the verb in that case. And we look at the second example. Someone has cleaned the windows. So someone has cleaned the windows is the active voice. If you write the passive voice or passive voice, the same sentence is written like this: the windows have been cleaned. So so it makes a murky roundabout sentence. You can be more straightforward with active voice. Active voice is more